How's it going, guys? Shape here, and welcome to the channel. This video is going to cover my thoughts about the release date of Shadowlands and what you should be focusing on getting done in the last few weeks before the pre-patch goes live. Since every second counts from here on out, let's go ahead and hop into the video. Be sure to turn on your notifications, make sure you have that bell rung, and drop a like so you don't miss any of my future content. If you have any questions, drop a comment or tweet at me. We finally have an actual date of the Shadowlands launch that was confirmed at Gamescom for October 27th. This will be a global release, so if you are in the US, then we will actually have the luxury of playing the game on October 26th. Here's a release time map of a few different time zones around the world. As you can see, the US will be later in the day on the 26th, depending on what part you are in. For those of you on the East Coast, you will have a 7 p.m. launch time, and those on the West will have a 4 p.m. launch time. Europe will have a midnight launch, and you guys can see the rest of the map to see your respected launch times. This global release style was done in BFA as well, and I think it is a better way to release the game because not everyone has to stay up till midnight or later waiting for the game to launch, or have others already playing for hours before you can even launch the game yourself. For those of you taking time off of work for this launch, you now have the dates, so go ahead and request those times off. The release date was a little surprising to me, and we've never had a release announced so close to the actual date of the game releasing. Most of the time we had a larger gap between these two, and even already know a release date when the game is still in alpha. I have said for a while now that my guess was end of October to November for the launch, but as we went on and on without knowing a date, I figured it would be farther into November. My thoughts was have the game release a few weeks before Thanksgiving to give players some time to gear up and have the raid scheduled to come out after Thanksgiving break with just enough time before Christmas to squeeze in the world first events. Now with the end of October release date, the game will have more of a head start on those events and have more of a Halloween launch. This might be the perfect timing as we most likely won't be enduring a lot of the Halloween activities IRL this year. We also have a raid schedule in Season 1 of Shadowlands announced. Castle Nathria and Mythic Plus will unlock 2 weeks after the expansion release on November 10th. This means we will only have 2 weeks to level and gear up to get ready for raids. This is the shortest time frame we have had between a launch and a raid release that I can remember. Normally what we are used to is around 3-week gap between the two, but if they waited for that time, then it would put the mythic difficulty of the raid opening up on Thanksgiving week. I assume they didn't want to do this for obvious reasons, so that might explain the short time frame. So we know the release date of Shadowlands now, and we have a little over 2 months from the time it was told until October 27th, but we still don't know when the pre-patch will be. Historically, the pre-patch is a month to a month and a half before the launch of the new expansion. That puts a huge time limit on a lot of things that are going away in the pre-patch if that date holds true. If we stick to the 4 to 6 weeks out like normal, that will put us as early as September 22nd, since it will most likely be on a Tuesday for the reset. If it doesn't happen on the 22nd, then my second guess would be September 29th. Remember, no date has officially been announced, and these are just my guesses. Either way, we are in crunch mode for a lot of things going away in the pre-patch. For those of you wanting to mark all of the things going away in the pre-patch items off your list, then I wanted to go over those now from what we know. The first item I wanted to go over is one that many players have been grinding out gold for a long time to achieve. That's right, our precious Longboy will be taken away from us in the pre-patch. Since I do a lot of gold making guides, I know a lot of you guys have been focused on this one, and I hope you guys get it before the pre-patch hits live. While it's not being completely removed from the game entirely, this much sought after mount will be removed from its current vendors in Dazar'alor and Borealis. This means you still have a chance to get the Brutosaur in Shadowlands via the black market auction house. Though with the demand, I'd hate to think how much gold it's going to be going for when it does come up. A couple of achievements that are going away are going to be the Head of the Curve and the Cutting Edge achievements. As with the end of any expansion or raid tier, the associated achievements are removed from defeating the final boss of the current raid on heroic and mythic difficulties. The Shadowlands pre-patch will mark the deadline for grabbing the Ahead of the Curve achievement, which is from a heroic N'Zoth, and the Cutting Edge achievement, which is from mythic N'Zoth. Unless you are in a guild that's running mythic Ny'alotha, the chances of you getting the Cutting Edge achievement at this point are fairly slim. However, if your guild is still battling through the heroic difficulty, you might want to pick up the pace to avoid missing out on this achievement. If you are guildless, there are still plenty of pugs around to be found in the games looking for group tool that are clearing the raid on heroic difficulty, but it can be very hit and miss and a little more frustrating this way to find a decent group. The good news is, while the achievements may disappear in the pre-patch, the mount, the Uncorrupted Voidwing, is still obtainable for killing heroic N'Zoth up until the launch of Shadowlands. The launch of Shadowlands pre-patch will also mark the end of the current season for both Mythic Plus and PvP. This means that players will no longer be able to obtain certain season-based rewards from either content. For Mythic Plus, this means you'll no longer be able to be rewarded the Awakened Mindborer mount from completing all the dungeons on Mythic 15 level or higher. For PvP, you'll no longer be able to obtain the Season 4 Elite sets, which require an 1800 rating in rated PvP brackets to complete the whole season set. The next achievement going away is going to be more for the completionists out there that don't want to miss out on an achievement and a title. The Mad World achievement will be removed as soon as the pre-patch hits, along with the Faceless One title reward that goes along with it. If you've been putting off running Horrific Visions with all 5 masks active, you may want to bite the bullet and start practicing those runs. It won't be easy though, as each mask adds a debuff that increases the difficulty substantially. You'll need a rank 15 cloak or close to it, and you will want to have most of the Titanic research options unlocked. The last thing that's going to be going away in the pre-patch for sure is going to be the corruptions. Corruptions will be going away in the pre-patch, so be prepared for your character to feel a little different once you log onto them for the first time after the pre-patch goes live. If for some reason you haven't gotten all the corruptions you've wanted at this point, you still have a few weeks to try and get some of those crazy combos out there before losing these corrupted abilities from your gear. There are also a few other items that are up in the air right now on whether or not they will be removed or unobtainable in Shadowlands, but the ones I just listed are for sure going away in the pre-patch, so if you guys don't have any of those, then you best get on that if that matters to you. I now want to take some time to go over my thoughts on how early this pre-patch feels. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I put a poll out on the day that the pre-patch was announced and asked my community their thoughts on the release date. I gave the options too early, just in time, or finally. This is how my community voted. 46% feel like it is too early, 23% feel like it is just in time, and 32% are happy it's finally here. The beta has been shaping up quite nicely from what I can tell over the last few weeks, and it seems to have everything in there, but it does have some rough edges. Some of the Covenant systems haven't been fully tested, and some of them don't feel quite finished yet. There are also some bugs that need to be addressed, like conduits just not working. A ton of class changes have been happening, with even more promised in the next couple of weeks. This to me doesn't feel like we're only 8 weeks away from the expansion launch. I would like the beta to be fully done and now just be the pure polish in the upcoming weeks to the pre-patch and less than 2 months away before the expansion launch. Now there is still time to make a few of these last minute changes, but in my opinion it is going to be really tight and come down to the wire on being done. After the launch of BFA, I was hoping for a better lead up time to the expansion instead of what it is looking like now. The shining light out of all of this is we will at least have all the features in the game as promised, as we are able to test the legendaries, soulbinds, Torghast, covenants, conduits, new abilities, talent changes, and even leveling zones. These are pretty much all the features we will have to interact with in Shadowlands, and at least they are all in the game currently. I just don't know how much time has been saved to polish off these systems and make them feel right. I don't want to launch where they know this will be a problem and they don't have time to fix it, so they will just push it to a 9.1 problem. Hopefully within the next month or so my worries will be addressed and we will have a great launch for Shadowlands, as I am super excited at the possibilities Shadowlands has. Well, there you have it guys, my thoughts on the Shadowlands release date and what you should be focusing on in the last couple weeks of BFA. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed the video to show some love for the channel, and I'll catch you guys next time.